Subscribe to Simply Bitcoin.
Who's back? Marcus, MTC. How are you guys? How come you're here
Hey,
now?
Yellow, what are you doing?
Oh,
Well, you kindly managed to delay the sunset by an hour, so we were able to join today.
oh, okay.
You guys good?
Someone did.
Oh, we started? Sorry.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in. It's another episode of the Meme Factory podcast. This is test stream number 29. This evening, we are graced by the presence of Andy Edstrom. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to ask him to introduce himself anyway, because that's what we do on podcasts.
Right on. Thanks. Thank you, Gregory. So I'm a financial advisor. I spent a decade as an investor. Then I spent a decade as a wealth manager, financial advisor. And I wrote a book about Bitcoin called Why Buy Bitcoin. And I sent a personalized autographed copy to Greg. And then his kid scribbled all over it and destroyed it. See, evidence. But that is one of one. Greg, I think, has already issued an NFT for it, if I'm not mistaken. And,
for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. So lately, I'm working for Swan, and we're launching a service to help financial advisors get their clients into Bitcoin. I'm talking about owning actual coins, not owning some kind of paper wrapper or some fund structure. I'm talking about BTC that they can take possession of, hold their own keys if they choose. So that's the very high level, really quick background. But if you want me to bore you with more detail, I'm happy to do that.
No, this is a high level pod. I mean, you're not getting anybody in here who's looking on how to trade or how to do any type of analysis on a stock or a company. So.
Yeah. So far, it struck me as an extremely low level pod, Greg.
Oh,
are you sure this is a high level pod?
Okay. All right, Andy.
Ooh. Zingers. He's got the zingers real quick.
On that note, sir.
I thought we'll see how much trash gets talked here, but I'll hand it back to you.
Fair enough. I'm going to throw some trash your way at the moment. The trash we have in mind for you is part of the way we handle the show is that most of the majority of our money comes from sponsors that we tell will have the guest do the ad read. This evening, we had somebody who was very interested in you based on the stuff that you've been talking about recently. I've sent the ad copy to your DMs if you wouldn't mind taking a look for that and see if you can find it.
Yeah, here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3, ad read. This episode of the Meme Factory, see, I blew it already. This episode of the Meme Factory, trademark, podcast is brought to you by the hardworking men and women at Rekt LLC. That's REKT, Rekt. And their flagship product, Leverage, trademark. Did you find yourself itching for another Lehman moment? Do you still have long-term capital stock certificates hanging in your office? Did Jeff Skilling steal your heart alongside all that money? Well, cry no more, because now you can relive all your favorite moments from life-wrecking market bubbles on a smaller, more intimate, and more lucrative scale. That's right. Rekt LLC has moved the crown jewel of their product line, Leverage, from Wall Street to Main Street. The crack team at Rekt LLC has been able to implement Leverage, trademark, in all your favorite casinos from Mt. Gox to Coinbase to Binance and more. Leverage, trademark, will allow you the freedom to bet your house that Doge is finally going to hit $1. So strap on some leverage and show your wife what long really looks like. Your life probably didn't turn out as adventurous as Hollywood and Lemony Snicket led you to believe it would. Now's the time to leverage your home and create your own series of unfortunate events. And remember, the house always wins, just not your house, because now it's our house. Rekt LLC, making a material difference in your life, one liquidation at a time. Hats off, gentlemen.
Thank you.
That was great. That was great material. I love it.
Hats off to you as well. It was inspired by you talking about don't get wrecked trading Bitcoin.
Yeah, man. I'm kind of a broken record on the topic, but I think it's a categorical difference between using leverage and not using leverage. And we know that Bitcoin draws down by big numbers on occasion. It's not even that rare of an occasion, right? It's only 2 years ago. It's 2 years ago, like almost to the day. What was Black Monday or whatever? What was the day that?
That was the 12th.
March 13th.
13th.
Yeah, man. When Bitcoin fell by more than half or whatever in a day, and would have gone farther if Arthur Hayes hadn't pulled the plug. Yeah, I don't know. It makes you wonder, right? Like what could have happened that fateful day?
Well, that's an interesting question. So I mean, what are the mechanics behind what actually happened that day? This is a day we're talking that Bitcoin went from what, 12 grand to 3 in 24 hours, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know if it was quite like 75%. I think it had been at 10. It was kind of inching down, maybe to like 9 and 8, and then it went to like 5 or something.
I think we've all tried to block it out, haven't we, of our memory?
Yeah. So, nobody remembers. It's stricken from the record.
Right. So how do we get in a position like that where that can even happen? Right? Yeah.
Leverage, man. Leverage. So I guess you would say that, first of all, anytime there's leverage in the system, which applies to any asset, you get forced liquidations. You get margin calls. Somebody who's posted collateral, but they got a position that's larger than the collateral, and so if the price moves, they're forced out of the position, and forcing out of the position pushes the price that much further, and you get a feedback loop. So that's like the big picture. As to how it happens that we have this much leverage in Bitcoin, talk to Arthur Hayes, not me, but I think he's admitted to offering up to 100x leverage, at least at the time, on BTC trading via perpetual futures contracts, which is a financial device that he and his co-founders hatched that launched BitMEX, and it was innovative. I don't know if I would say in a good way, but yeah, man, there it is. When you got enough levered traders and enough leverage in the system where they're all stacked up and one liquidation begets the next and the next and the next. There's no bottom, really. I mean, I guess the bottom is zero. It's actually an interesting.
No.
There's no physical.
Remember when?
There's no phys. Yeah. There's
remember
no
when oil was
delivery.
negative like a year ago?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking to myself. See, the difference with oil though is there's the threat of having to actually take delivery. So I think that arguably is why you can get negative prices in oil, because if you own the contract, you can be forced to swallow it and like literally take the oil, and you must put it somewhere. And so if you don't want to fill your bedroom with oil over there, Greg, or your car, or some, find some place to put it, then you're actually willing to pay someone else, i.e. the negative, price of the contract, to take it off your hands. I don't think that's the same with Bitcoin off the top of my head, right? Because taking delivery of Bitcoin is not expensive. Storing Bitcoin, I can store lots of Bitcoin. I can store it under the mattress. I can store it in my brain. Of course, I don't do any of those things because of a tragic boating accident that I suffered. But
one of our sponsors actually has a white glove service that will produce a boating accident for you if you ever are in
very
need.
nice.
Yeah,
seems like something. It seems like something we should wrap into Swan Advisor Services, right? I mean that seems like a value add service that clients of financial advisors would appreciate.
Absolutely. Definitely. It speeds up the velocity of money too. So it's not just you making one purchase and sitting there. I mean, you're making a purchase and then that money is going out to multiple people. You got to rent the boat. You got to have the sharks in the water. You got people doing photography. It's a whole production.
It stimulates the economy, right?
Right.
It's good. It's good for the economy. It's the kind of stimulus we really could use right now with the economy slowing and inflation rising.
It's a dangerous combination with a slowing economy and inflation rising. They call that stagflation, I believe. And we've seen some interesting things. And going back to leverage recently, you and I chatted briefly before this started about what is called Zotimer, the commodities trading firm.
Trafigura.
All right, so
Trafigura.
So for anybody who doesn't know, they're a commodities trading firm that is on the hook for billions of dollars of liquidated short positions on nickel because of that nickel short squeeze that happened when Russia invaded Ukraine. Am I right?
That's the rumor, and as with any financial institution or any company, any entity that uses leverage either to hedge or to speculate or just to finance their business, it's hard to know exactly what the counterparty risk is. I doubt that they have a current balance sheet as of March 17th. I think the December 31st balance sheet may be a matter of public record. I haven't looked at it yet, but yeah, it's concerning. We're finding out where the weaknesses are in the system, and we're being reminded of the fact that any system that has leverage embedded in it is inherently fragile. And so if you have a big enough shock, such as, for example, cutting off, the one of the world's largest producers of lots of types of commodities, including and especially nickel, but not limited to nickel, wheat and ammonium and, inputs to fertilizer and oil and gas, obviously. Things can go wrong. And it's like, I don't know, man. It's like either we can't learn the lesson or people are just too greedy, or I don't know. But anytime you're running a levered balance sheet, you make what you think are reasonable assumptions for how bad things could get. And then of course they get worse than your assumptions, and then you're in a bind. So look, I do worry about the contagion risk basically that's coming out of the commodities industry, because there is leverage embedded in that system, just like there is in every other part of the financial system.
Okay, so there's contagion risk there.
Great news all around, right, boys?
Oh. God, fourth turning.
So what does that mean, Andy? What are you specifically worried about? What could that look like?
Well, it could look like any of the other deleveraging events or shocks we've seen. I don't know, at least in my career, since I've been at this about 20 years. It could look like it did with COVID. I mean, clearly COVID was an unusual shock, but the real oh shit moment with COVID, right, was when the treasury market started breaking down, because there were banks and hedge funds and counterparties that were used to pledging the same treasury instrument as collateral, sometimes multiple times, is what they call rehypothecation, when you've got multiple claims against the same asset. Oh, and by the way, that asset is a debt claim. It's not even a base layer asset like Bitcoin or gold. So, it could look like that. It could look like the global financial crisis. That was a situation of, there are counterparties that are thought to be insolvent, but nobody knows for sure how insolvent they are. And nobody knows for sure how exposed the rest of the system is to those counterparties. In that case, it was Lehman and AIG and all the banks. People are talking about the late 1990s with long-term capital management, which was this giant hedge fund that used 100-to-1 leverage. Speaking of 100-to-1 leverage, and that had to be bailed out basically by the Wall Street banks. The Fed got involved. Oh, and also around that time is what catalyzed the emerging market crisis that led to the outright default of Russian bonds. Sound familiar? So yeah, I mean, any and all of these precedents, like each each crisis is different and has its own facts and circumstances. But I am concerned that there could be contagion. By the way, I'm not saying that there necessarily will be. That's the thing about these complex dynamic systems, right? Is sometimes it'll push you over the edge, right? Sometimes the last grain of sand to fall on the pile causes the avalanche, and sometimes it doesn't. And so, you just don't know in advance. But you do worry that when you start to see signs of stress, there's a higher risk that it cascades through the system.
All right. So
do you think the acquisition of from the West of all the Russian assets all around the world is a part that it's going to play a part in that cascading effect? Like what, and if so, how?
Yeah, it can. So I guess the big picture is, anytime you have partners in a chain that owe each other money, right, that can beget instability. So I don't know, like who's the Russian oligarch? Roman Abramovich used to own a soccer team, and now he doesn't. Well, maybe, he pledged part of that asset, as collateral against some debt. So maybe that asset that he used to own isn't his anymore, and any debt that was secured by that asset now is in question, and therefore whoever owns that debt claim, right, has a hole in their balance sheet, and on down the line. And so, yeah, any time you've got parties that owe each other money because they were trading before, right? Because East was trading with West, and for the most part, we had relatively free trade. Now that those supply chains are broken and the commerce is broken, then the flip side of that is the financing. Because anytime you're trading, especially physical goods across borders, there's some counterparty that's financing that, right? There's some bank that's issuing a letter of credit that's saying, oh yeah, the seller of this commodity, he's good for it. So buyer, we'll front you the money, and in the meantime, wait for that product to ship. But now you've got three parties involved, and one leg has now been broken. The stuff ain't getting shipped, which means the financial counterparty ain't getting paid. And so, it can be a problem.
Where are you looking for cracks in the system right now? Where are you seeing the most pressure build up?
Crack?
Yeah.
Yeah, the crack market is intact as far as I know, because already it was subject to sanctions, and yet it found a way to get the product through.
Yeah, I'm not having any trouble with my suppliers.
Joe Biden gave me a crack pipe last week, so I'm yeah.
Aren't you in Spain? How'd you manage that?
Amazon Prime.
Nice.
Amazon Prime. Nice. I'd like to see that pipe. That's a collector's item. NFT that immediately.
Yeah, I'm gonna mint that one.
If you keep talking about NFTs on this podcast, I'm gonna mute you.
You're gonna fire me? That's fair. That's fair. You should. It's well deserved. I've been duly warned. That's more than fair. Oh man, I forgot to. Oh, where am I looking for cracks in the system?
Pipes in the system.
Yeah, I mean, so this Trafigura case is like, which sprang from the LME, the London Metals Exchange, which had this one large Chinese counterparty that had all this exposure, and he got short squeezed out, hence nickel price going ballistic and them having to stop trading and unwind billions of dollars of trades. Oops. Not good for market confidence. When you make a trade and then you get rug pulled, right? You get reversed. So yeah, obviously the first place to look for these problems is in the commodities complex, whether it's the producers or it's the major buyers or it's those counterparties in the middle like Trafigura that have leverage, or it's the exchanges like LME. The banks are an obvious place to look, right? I mean, everything. Banks touch everything, pretty much every industry, and so they're counterparties to pretty much everyone. That's always been true. It certainly was true, in the global financial crisis in 2008, 2009. So although their leverage levels in the banking system are reduced since then, that's one thing that the regulators got right in the intervening time. They're still highly levered. And so if you're any bank that finances a lot of the oil industry or the metals, mining industry, any of these commodity industries, then obviously there's a good chance you're looking at holes in your balance sheet. There's another market, which is the CDS market, credit default swap market. That's the CDS is basically insurance policies on default, right?
On sovereign debt, right?
Exactly, the sovereign debt. And it appears that some of the Russian bonds allow repayment in rubles, and some, require repayment in dollars.
Oof.
And so the ones, I guess, that allow repayment in rubles won't be technical defaults, because payments will be made.
It'll just be implicit.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the worthless paper. We paid you back.
We paid?
Yeah, exactly. We paid.
Valued.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's that issue in terms of contracts. Anything, I would say pretty much anything that's levered. I guess, in the sovereign market, if sovereign bonds, especially emerging market bonds, start to have trouble, that can filter through to banks in those jurisdictions. To the extent that banks in the West have exposure to those could be problematic. I guess those are sort of the obvious, first and second order areas to look for problems, off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. So I want to pivot this to more of a personal thing. Now, I recently applied for a job at Swan, right? And
did you?
I got an email back from Corey Clipston that I'm hard pressed to understand the meaning of. Sean, if you could do me a favor and share your screen and show me. I don't know how to share a screen from my end, but this is what came in the email. It's just it's all the lyrics to Ba with the Ba. And I don't know what to make of it.
Ba to the ba, the bang bang, diggy diggy.
So
I'm trying to remember this song. This song was very popular. I don't know, when I was in high school, maybe.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember.
All right.
Yeah.
Hang on. You didn't end with "fuck you, Greg."
No, he said thank you.
Still in with the chance, man.
No, if he doesn't say "fuck you, Greg," then I'm out. But anyway, the other part of this is I was hoping maybe, since Andy, you're working in the private clients services division, you could take a look at my resume and tell me where maybe there may have been some issues.
Moderately funny. Oh, nice. Well, at least you're honest, right? We do appreciate genuineness and honesty at Swan. We're all about telling it like it is.
I mean, I was really thinking my All-Star Pet Sitters experience was going to shine through. And
a little bit to the left. A little bit to the left, Greg.
Oh, man.
Am I more to the left?
Not you, your potato.
Homeschool.
It's Sean. I can't do it. Homeschool? I did. I learned things and stuff while I was there.
Was Princey your teacher while you were homeschooling?
I wish he had been giving us pointers. All right, so that's enough of that. I mean, I'm really just looking for pointers from Andy on where.
Yeah. Living with parents is totally cool. we're remote only company, so you can live wherever you want. The dog walking it seems less relevant to our business, although it's not clear to me exactly which job you were applying to. So were
so you hate dogs and Swan?
Yeah.
You hate dogs?
Why do you hate dogs?
Why do you hate dogs, dude?
Yeah.
So just between you and me, I don't know if you know, but Corey has a cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank God Labra is not here.
Oh
Labra, if you're hearing this, shut your ears now.
Yeah. This may be why. I think we just found the answer. Is Corey might be a cat person.
A cat person. So what's that virus you get by kissing cats, where it makes you not emotional anymore? Is that the problem?
I have just learned that at Swan Bitcoin, they apparently hate dogs. Tweet.
Damage control. Damage control.
Retweet.
Copy at Swan Bitcoin. Damage control.
Perfect. So how long have you been at Swan? Have you been enjoying yourself?
Yeah, man. November 1st, I got involved in my current capacity, and no, it's great. I mean, I'm so pleased to be part of the team of the best education team in Bitcoin. I mean, other than the meme masters in whose company I am currently, of course. Yeah. You're by far the best meme team. We're the best team for education, except for memes specifically. Although I think we're decent at memes. Although you should critique us. How's our meme game?
You've got Brecky on staff. Your meme game's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. Brecky is the real deal. He's multi-talented, and memes are definitely in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, Brecky had I chat with Brecky from time to time. We were pretty frequently talking to each other on the Bird site, and you guys have that Swan Arsenal Telegram group. That was where I got my first start with sharing memes and getting critical feedback on them. So it was instrumental in me getting started memeing. So I want to say thank you to Swan and Brecky in particular for that.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know that was the genesis of the great Greg's Edge.
It's definitely early in the story. Exactly. And one of the things that really helped me grow early on was Brecky challenged me to make wholesome memes for a month. I didn't make it the whole month, but it definitely made me work harder at making good memes. So yeah, Brecky's been great. You guys are excellent at your meme game.
It's hard to do clean comedy, isn't it? It's much harder to do clean comedy than dirty comedy.
It's brutal.
Well, I want to thank the team here. I mean, a couple shout outs at least. Obviously, MTC, BTC. We go back a bit. I think RD, BTC, and you, Greg, each did some laser eyes. I think one of you gave me my laser eyes, and one of you gave me my youngest daughter's laser eyes when she was born. I can't remember who did which, but that's at least how I remember it. She just turned 1, so good times.
You and I did maybe 12 versions of the laser eyes for you, and I didn't know it at the time, but Twitter takes any image and turns it into like a different format. It's this JPG medium or small or something. Like you can't open it outside of Twitter. So,
I remember that because you kept doing it for me, and I was like, "Thank you so much, Greg. I'm sorry to tell you that this isn't working." I was for whatever reason.
I was like, "This idiot can't freaking figure out."
Oh man! So what was it? Was it my fault or was it your fault or
it was
Twitter's fault?
It was
Jack's fault.
It was Jack's fault, but it was a lack of informational experience. You were telling me it was coming through as a different format, and I'm saving it as this and sending it to you. Oh well.
It was. It turns out, I guess, that it's not a push system like Bitcoin for those memes, for those images. I guess.
Andy, sorry, but I have to ask: are you drinking Coke Light?
Yeah, Diet Coke.
Are you smoking also like Mentos?
No smoking for me, but I do drink a lot of caffeine. This is my vice. One of my vices. Maybe the only vice that I'll admit to at the moment. Although you can keep asking.
It's all right. What's the other vice?
I stopped the stream. I stopped the stream, so you can tell us now. Nobody's watching.
Just between a couple fellas.
Just between us.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have Biden's crack pipe, so I don't. That's not my preferred vice, but
thought we could hang out together. I guess.
Yeah,
not.
yeah. You could introduce me. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I'll try anything. I'll try anything once.
I'll try anything once, meaning crack pipe.
Yep. There it is.
Corey will wake up and will be like, "What the fuck happened last night?"
Yep. Corey's preparing my resignation letter right now.
Corey doesn't sleep. Yeah.
Oh man, classic. Somebody, I don't know if it was RD. If you did, I feel like you did. You did one for me, which was like a very weak, like karate or martial arts fighter, which had my head plastered on it. That was a long time ago. That was like a couple years ago. I think you did one for Canute as well at that time. But anyway, good times. Appreciate the memes, gentlemen. Appreciate those memes.
You made an impression there, RD.
What's that?
I remember doing one for your book.
Nice.
I'll have to dig it out and retweet it. Yeah.
RD sent a meme out at 3:20 a.m. last night, local time.
I made
RD
it
never
then.
never
I didn't
stops.
tweet it then. Yeah.
Never stops. He's a machine.
Rarely dreaming.
24/7. 24/7. Yeah. Have you figured that out? Have you figured out how to go to sleep at night, but still be able to crank out memes in your sleep? That would increase your productivity tremendously.
It would.
Just schedule the tweets. That's what you got to do.
Sleeping's
That's the pop trick.
Cheating.
Yeah. Sleeping's the shit going, Andy.
Oh man, I disagree. Yeah, I learned. I don't know. Maybe it's just my middle age here, but I can't function without the sleep anymore. I lost the edge I had when I was younger. Used to be able to eat anything and sleep minimally, and yeah, I'm just a middle-aged man. What can I say?
Mm-hmm.
Lost the edge.
Plus, having a young kid will just really burn you out there.
That's yeah. It. I'm lucky in that regard. My wife is a star. She does almost all the work, and I'm grateful, very grateful to have her.
She tuned in right now, Andy.
She's not. If you can believe it, she's at school right now.
Wow.
She's in 8th grade. No, she's in law school. She's in law school. There we go. I got a laugh out of Big Sean Harris.
That was the last episode of the Meme Factory podcast.
Taken down.
No, but really, she's learning how to be a divorce lawyer, right?
Yeah, exactly. She's figuring out how to extricate herself from me.
Okay. Okay.
I heard she's in the PhD program of economics at the Keynesian school.
Yeah, that would make me sad. No, she is actually considering writing a thesis, which they have to do on Bitcoin and legal issues around it. So that would be interesting if she goes that direction. I'm interested for her to take on that research project. I'm sure I would learn a lot. I'm sure she would too, and I'm sure we'd both learn something about how to defend ourselves against any and all parties who try to take our Bitcoin from us.
I would imagine so.
That we don't have any more of because of the boating accident.
That you're going to schedule.
When you start smash buying on Swan Bitcoin, right?
There you go. Exactly. When I buy my first Bitcoin on Swan.
There you go. Very good.
No, I do have my DCA set up on Swan.
Oh, tell me more about that. How would one set up a DCA on Swan?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. It takes like 2 minutes. You go to swanbitcoin.com/Andy Edstrom, right? Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
We actually got the swan.com now domain name, so it's swan.com, which is an upgrade from Swan Bitcoin because it's shorter. Yeah. Exciting
Michael
stuff.
Saylor's domain?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, right? It's kind of like hope.com. Oh, by the way, hope.com is, is one place you can find why buy Bitcoin on hope.com.
Excellent.
FYI.
In case anybody didn't know, Andy wrote a book. Why buy Bitcoin? It's excellent.
Who's your book aimed at, Andy? What's your target audience for your book?
Yeah.
TLDR.
Yeah. So look, I wrote it partly for friends and family. I wrote it partly for my clients, right? For my.
How do you read it though? Do you read it like how you even buy? Why you even buy Bitcoin?
Yeah. What's the tone of this title?
Yeah. What's the tone of the title?
The tone you can hear in my nasal monotone because I did the audiobook. So if you really want to hear it, you can.
Why buy Bitcoin?
Why buy Bitcoin?
Why buy Bitcoin?
Why buy Bitcoin?
Yeah. So no, look, it's. I wrote it. The first draft I wrote, it was very technical, and I got through it, and I was like, no one's gonna read this. And so then I got a really good editor, and she helped me make it much more readable. So it's meant to be readable by anyone, anyone with a brain. I don't know, anyone who's at least semi-intelligent. I'm not going to claim that. I'm not going to claim that every person is going to understand every concept in the book because there's some technical financial stuff. But yeah, it's meant to be accessible, and so far it seems like people think it is.
Did your beloved mother listen to it?
She did. Yes. In fact, that's one of the key reasons I decided to narrate it myself is for her benefit because she's actually disabled and can't read a regular book anymore. So yeah, I decided to do it in the voice of her own son, so she could benefit from consuming it that way because she's not able to read normally anymore.
You made her buy it though, right?
Of course I did.
Did she give you any feedback? Did she say, yes, it was very good, well done, son?
Yes, of course she said that. She would have said that probably even if it was terrible. But yes, she enjoyed it.
A really sweet gesture, man. I remember I think you laid it out on Princey's pod.
Yeah, I think that's right. You remember that, yeah. And yeah. That's right. It was it's well, I'm glad it worked out. It was a lot of work. Somehow I think it turned out okay. Even though Guy Swan wasn't the voice of my book, I think it turned out well.
Will he do the next one, or are you going to do it again?
Oh my God, I don't think there's the next one, dude. It's it's so much work. I don't have it in me. I don't have another one in me, at least not right now.
You could go the safety route, right? It was the Bitcoin standard, fiat standard. Why buy Bitcoin? Why sell fiat? Boom. I got your second book for you.
Big Sean Harris. I like it. I like it.
Well done,
Why
Sean.
sell fiat?
Why sell fiat? Bam.
There's a small 3% commission for that.
Yeah, that's more than
royalty
Royalty.
in perpetuity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Maybe one serious question. I'm really curious, right? Because like a year and a half ago, you were there you were calling the Sailor play, and like we're a year and a half further now. Is there like how are like clients or how are like people with big balance sheets looking at this stuff now?
Yeah, I think that I've been surprised. A lot of people have been surprised at how slow the corporate balance sheet uptake has been, despite the fact that Sailor did it and showed us the playbook, right?
Yeah.
Over a year ago, he had that conference, which was like, hey, CFOs and treasurers and executive teams, here's how you do it. Right. All wrapped up in a bow.
They had the second one this February.
That's right. They just had it again. I had deja vu. It's like, wait, we already did this a year ago. Where's the corporate money? I think the good news is the corporates that have been buying are smaller, private companies, right? Which is great because, rather smaller, mom and pop shops get that corn before the big guys do anyway.
Before the zombies do.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly right. So that's good. I do think that I'm sure that there were ongoing conversations in boardrooms after the first Sailor conference, looking at it, and then obviously we had the price downturn, we had the China situation, and so that those plans, the clock got immediately reset to zero, and the plans got shelved, and maybe there's some looking at it. Well, I'm sure there are some looking at it now. I mean, we've had a few announcements, but yeah, it's been slow going in institutional land, and this stuff just takes time. I mean, you had the first buys by pensions, endowments, and insurance companies, right? Mass Mutual, and there's been a little bit of follow through, but there hasn't been a lot. And I don't know, what can you say? I guess that these institutions move slowly, and then regular people, we're all on our own path. I mean, no doubt, who knows what percentage of America or the world got truly orange pilled in the last 18 months, and Sailor can take a little bit of credit for that, just like everyone on this call can. And this stuff, I guess, just takes time, but I do see. I'll tell you one thing. I do see more financial advisors interested. So it's like there's, I don't know, call it 30 trillion or so of managed wealth, right, in the U.S. and more globally. And so, when I put the book out a few years ago, it was like screaming into the wind, right? There was no traction virtually. But I have been getting have been getting inbound interest basically from financial advisors who are getting up the curve. And what they're doing is, more than anything, I mean, some are forward looking and they're getting ahead of demand, but more of them are responding to demand, right? They're getting it from their clients. Clients are like, hey, financial advisor, I'm buying this Bitcoin thing. I can do it with you, or I can yank the money and do it on my own. And some of them already have been doing that. So like they'd rather their financial advisor consider the Bitcoin as part of the portfolio and take the big top-down view. But they're okay to do it on their own. And nothing gets the attention of a financial advisor like the client saying, I'm gonna yank some money and invest in some stuff over here that you're not gonna get paid fees on, right? So that has gotten more advisors' attention. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, but it's happening. It's happening slowly.
Are advisors able to understand it themselves?
Yeah, there's definitely progress in that area. I mean, it's there's definitely more and more advisors getting up the curb. Reading, learning, listening to pods, all that stuff. Carefully studying the memes of all the parties on in this conversation. But seriously, yeah, they're learning.
This thing seems to kind of happen in waves. With each big growth spurt, new people get attracted in. New hodlers get born, and you invariably get people dropping off, but some stick around, and as much as we'd like it to be just this steady progressional growth, predictable, and everybody's on the same page, it just doesn't happen like that, right? It's like standing on the beach and you just get new stuff washed up, old stuff washed out that didn't really belong there, and this is just kind of how it is, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I love that. I love the tide analogy. Yeah, in comes the tide with the speculators, and some percentage of them get caught on the rocks and actually stay, and then the rest, you got to wait till the next wave. Yeah, I like that.
Do you think with
helps enormously with that? I mean, it's not the only thing, but it's.
Sorry, what helps enormously?
Number going up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. NGU is the key, or one of the keys.
Know what lights the fire, right? I mean, it's having the problem as well. Like with Saylor, he'd already encountered Bitcoin in 2013 and written it off, right? As we all know. And then he realized that he had this big problem back at the start of the pandemic with this massive treasury reserves, that were melting away. And we all know that story. And everybody comes into it with their own problem that Bitcoin solves. And luckily it's just able to solve lots of problems. But it's for those who are tuned into it. They're the ones that cling on to the rocks, right? And don't give up.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I think I figured out what a lot of us figure out over time, which is you learn about it, you get excited, and you do the hard sell, right? You're selling everyone. You're selling your family and your friends, and you won't shut up about it. And then you realize it's got to be, in that respect, it's not a push system. It's a pull system, right? It's like they got to be ready to hear it, and it's better to answer questions rather than try to jam it down people's throats.
Oh yeah. It seems like the other orange pilling is the other number going up, which is inflation, sitting at 7.9%. I think that's like, you see a lot of things happening, like in Canada, people getting their bank account shut down or wherever, and the same thing going on in Russia. But it seems like most people really don't care. They don't think like, oh, I'm gonna need to have this bare money. But when their gas prices are through the roof, when their groceries are through the roof, that's when I think a lot of people are just like, okay, well, if this keeps going on, like how am I gonna make it? And what are your thoughts on on inflation? Do you think it's gonna continue to go up, or do you think it's peaked? And what about with the Fed? They just did a 25 basis point increase in the rate. You think that even matters? Then they're saying they're going to do 11 hikes over the next few years, 7. What are your thoughts on all that that's going on?
Yeah. So big picture is my base case scenario is that the 2020s are an inflationary decade. So it'll ebb and flow, right? It'll be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's what we're seeing right now, in my opinion, is it's still inflation accelerated and then was still rising but decelerating, but then we got the war, right, and commodity prices through the roof, so that's going to be another inflationary impulse. Will that feed through, and will we probably see a decrease in the second half of the year? Probably. I think so. Then though, we still have the bigger overarching problem, which is if debt to GDP is close to 400%, which is the highest it's ever been. Oh, and that's excluding the unfunded entitlements, Medicare, Social Security, which is another 1,000% of GDP. Okay. Oh, and by the way, those bills were always far in the future until now. The boomers are actually retiring. So they're actually collecting the checks. And I mean, with what's going on in the labor market, boomers retiring, the millennials were coming into the labor market in prior years, but then that's over basically. So supply of labor that we used to have isn't there. Oh, speaking of supply of labor, like 1 billion people's worth in China, that's decoupling, right? That supply chain is going away. And so there's just a lot of reasons to think that this is going to be an inflationary decade. Now, I'll be the first to admit that nobody really understands inflation because it's a psychological phenomenon, right? It's a social psychological phenomenon where as you suggested, nobody.
It is not a psychological phenomenon. Inflation is strictly an increase in the money supply.
Well, okay.
Your maths?
I think not. I think that wage expectations matter. In other words, but look, I don't want to really debate the semantics.
Oh, we're going there.
We're going there. I take your point. I'm talking about inflation as like, average goods and services, which of course is nonsensical in some sense because my basket of goods is not the same as yours. But
and the CPI's basket of goods is not anyone's basket of
goods.
That's
right. That's nobody. Where's Mr. CPI? Have you ever met Mr. CPI?
He's lived down on the corner, so
he's friends with Mr. Market.
Exactly. He's homeless because he can't afford food or shelter.
He just doesn't price those in.
Rent isn't in his basket of goods.
No,
so.
Exactly. There's no home. He doesn't live in a home. Oh man, that's funny. So I expect short-term inflation up, medium-term inflation maybe back down a little bit, but like over the long run, I think that inflation is the most likely way that we deal with the debt problem, or it sounds so intentional, we dealing with it, more like how it gets dealt with or how it gets resolved. And it's hard for me to see it not getting resolved this decade. And it's hard for me to see Bitcoin not playing a significant role in being the asset that people flock to, as inflation carries away the value of most other assets.
Now, when you say
and their savings,
when you say that it plays an important role over the next decade, what is the dollar value of that role?
Yeah, great question.
Don't even guarantee it, please.
I think
what's your price target?
I think I think
how many coins have
10-year view? I think 10-year view 7 figures, higher than 7 figures, or let's say in the 7 figures. So like over $1 million is like, I don't want to say conservative, but like quite reasonable. So between 1 and 2 million.
In today's dollars or in those.
Yeah, and I'm thinking in real purchasing power terms. Yeah, not in busted fiat terms, although it will actually be in those terms. I'm talking about real terms. So I would say 10 years north of $1 million. I don't know I'm much less confident that we get like to 10. I can see 10 million, on 15 years, and then we could go even higher on a 20-year scale. Caveat: none of this is investment advice. Nobody really knows. Who knows? But
you're on a meme show. You're on a meme show, sir.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think you need to put the disclaimer up.
Oh man,
you read none of the information given on this podcast is to be considered meme advice.
Exactly.
Your meme.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? Who has an opinion?
Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus. What's your opinion?
Yeah, Marcus.
Markets. Plan markets.
Plan markets.
Sean always calls me a rainbow bear, so I'll let him go.
No, it's Marcus's turn. What's the number, Marcus? You're not getting away from us.
Yeah, we're putting
the number. What? Yeah, number is everything divided by 21 million.
There it is.
I don't know. I think about a lot like what is fiat going to do? Is it just going to be like this gradual increase like we've been seeing? Like cycle after cycle, or just like it's on a log scale, it's just like a linear line basically. To just draw a very basic line. Are we just going to follow that roughly over time, or is it going to be slowly then suddenly moment, when just all the trust just collapses in the old system and everybody just runs like a bank run, right, to crypto and Bitcoin. And is that the end of fiat, or will we always keep central bank digital currencies or whatever form of fiat there will be? That's more of my big question. Are they going to coexist, or just?
That is the big question. I've always worried about that giant green object.
Candle,
giant green candle. And I used to worry about that more than I do. Maybe I've got complacent, right? It was like in the early years for me, it was like, I could have, hyper Bitcoinization, it's happening, or it could happen anytime. And now I'm like, I've sort of gotten used to this slower adoption process. Not that it's slow, right? Number keeps going up on average over years pretty nicely. But yeah, I don't know whether it'll be dramatic, discontinuous. I'm actually more optimistic than I used to be about a relatively orderly transition. It's not going to be, it's not going to be totally orderly, but it seems like we've got a good shot at having several more years, basically, for the ecosystem to build, for people to get used to it, for the education to keep happening, for the plebs to keep stacking, all that stuff. And America has never looked safer for Bitcoin than it does today, which is great.
Or just hear me out, or let's go chaos and up right away.
See, I prefer not that path because I have a heart. Because I got 3 kids. Because that's a world where I worry about the safety of my family, and so yeah, I am cautiously optimistic for a long transition, and that's what we've been on so far. So yeah, plus the longer it takes, the more everybody can stack, right?
Exactly. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody that we asked Marcus for a number and he didn't give us one.
We're taking notes. We're waiting. We're waiting, Marcus.
Number go where?
I'd say about $5 million per set.
Bear.
There you go.
All right. So, Andy, I'm going to hit you with the question that's stumped some of the smartest guests we've had on the pod. I'm sure we're going to hear a few groans from the peanut gallery here, but on a spectrum of primates, right?
No.
Ghost monkeys at the spider monkeys at the end, and then like silverback gorillas on the other end. Where in that spectrum do you fall with, like, you could take that animal in a fight?
By the way, I think I may have lost my mic here, so I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yep.
I am in decent shape for the 40-year-old that I am, but I'm not a fighter. I haven't trained, which is something I need to remedy, but I haven't yet. So, yeah,
some weapons, Andy. You're going to want to get, tool up, get some serious weapons.
I get to use weapons?
Sure.
Or no weapons?
Okay, knife. You can have a knife.
You just need a miner. It will physically protect you from violent attacks.
A Bitcoin miner. an ASIC miner.
I think what I need to do is, with any coins that weren't lost in the boating accident, need to find some good muscle to hire that will accept BTC to protect me. So
how much you offering?
What's that?
How much you offering?
Let's talk after the show. I don't know if I can afford you. Big Sean Harris, but
every man has a price.
Yeah, I'd rather have you on my team for sure. Anyway, I'd like to have Greg on my team too. I think.
Yeah, we're same team.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. So
you gotta pay me.
I did. Will you accept memes?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How's Andy doing in the March Madness thing that dude released today?
Yeah, I haven't seen. I think I retweeted it, but I didn't look at how the bracket's actually shaping up. I think I was up against Nick Bhatia, and I think he was outscoring me.
You got my vote.
Good
yeah,
on
you got mine too.
Good
Whoever
man. Thank you,
Greg,
gentlemen.
got mine.
Suck it, Nick.
I voted for Nick.
Well, Nick is a friend actually, and he's
Not
in the
anymore.
LA area, so I'm happy. I'm happy for him if he advances and wins. I have great respect for Nick.
What a cool idea! It is just a great bit. So yeah, I mean, you two authors. I've not read Nick's book. I've listened to yours, Andy, but I've not read Nick's. So
I appreciate it. Well, you should. Nick's
Nick's
is
is
good.
very
I mean,
good.
yeah, you definitely should. You definitely should check out Layered Money.
Layered Money seems a lot thinner, though.
It is. It's not quite as good as Why Buy Bitcoin by Andy Edstrom.
Andrew Edstrom.
No, why buy Bitcoin?
Yeah,
Why
why?
buy Bitcoin?
Why?
Why layer
Bitcoin.
money? Why layer money?
It doesn't have the same ring to it. Really doesn't.
No, layered money. Layered money is definitely worth reading. Highly recommend. There you go, Nick Bhatia. Shield your book.
Well done, Andy. He's a good friend.
We should get Nick on the show. We haven't had him on, have we?
I believe he's scheduled.
All right.
Yeah, he's scheduled.
Greg doesn't mess around with the scheduling. I mean, he scheduled me like 2 months in advance. So yeah.
We only do like one show a week. There's so many people I want to talk to.
Yeah, man, that's good. You got a good, strong, well-deserved pipeline of folks coming on, and this has been a fun time. So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about strong pipelines, I'm not talking about Joe Biden's crack pipe or Nordstrom 2. We're talking about Big Sean's party plans for the next halving.
Well,
lay it out, Sean.
Yes.
Hit it. What do you got?
So check this out. Block height, 840,000. That's the halving in 2024. We're having a party. You're invited. Your 8th grade, law student wife is invited as well. It's going to be a blast. I'm bringing crack pipes. Greg's bringing the have fun staying poor hat.
I'll bring the miners. And, the Bitcoin miners, the mining machines.
Basic miners. Yes. And it's going to be a blast. We're going to do our best to do a physical party, and we're going to have a lot of fun people there, and we definitely want to have you there.
Love to do it. Give me the deets. Give me the details.
Yep. It'll be the halving 2024 halving party with the Meme Factory.
The Meme Factory catamaran's going to be there.
Catamaran.
Yes. Gotta have some accidents, right?
We figured RD's question though.
We did not do RD's question. The most important question of the show every time.
All right. What is this going to happen now?
Probably.
Yep. You ready?
I think so.
If the Meme Factory did exist,
I don't know if I'm ready.
Start again, RD.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
If the Meme Factory did exist, and we all know it doesn't, who would you like? Who would you retweet? And who would you mute?
Oh my God. Who would you like? Who would you retweet? This is something I should have prepared for clearly. So this is just like who on Twitter.
No, out of the Meme Factory.
It's not that difficult.
Oh, among you guys.
Yeah.
Who would I like? Who would I? Okay. Sorry, I'm a little dense over here. All right.
Again, that's why buy Bitcoin.
I like RD. I retweet Greg, and who do I? What was it? Was it mute. Or block?
Yeah,
mute or block? Well, this isn't fair because I'm less acquainted with Yellow's material, so I need to get up to speed. But sorry, Yellow, you're muted.
2 weeks in a row.
Ooh.
Second time in a row. What the fuck is going on?
Balance is
Brutal.
big.
All right. Andy, you've been super generous with your time, so I want to give you the opportunity towards the end of the show here. Do you have anything of yours that you have upcoming you want to shill? Do you have any questions for any of the Meme Factory members? Or are you just done with this?
No, guys. This has been a lot of fun. Glad I did it. Keep up the great work. You guys are the heart and soul of Bitcoin, and just keep at it.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much for taking the time, Andy.
Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate all you guys. Keep up the good work.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Likewise.
It's been another episode of the Meme Factory podcast. Night.